Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Softly Spoken English, the place where we learn real English, one conversation at a time. I'm Sophia. If this is your first time here, get comfortable, grab whatever you're drinking, and let's make today the day your English gets just a little more natural. And if you've been here before, hey, welcome back. You already know how this works. No boring grammar lectures. Just real English, explained the way people actually talk, with real examples you can actually use tomorrow. Today's topic is a classic, one that trips up learners no matter what language you grew up speaking: can versus could. And yes, we're also going to cover could have, because that one trips people up just as much, once you start using it in real conversations. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly which one to use, when to switch between them, and, this is the fun part, you'll understand why using the wrong one can accidentally make you sound rude, even when you didn't mean to at all. All right, let's get into it. Okay, quick story. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop and you want a napkin. You say, "Can I have a napkin?" Totally fine. Nobody blinks. That's just normal. But now, different scene. You're in a job interview. It went well, and afterward you want to ask if you could follow up by email. If you say, "Can I send a follow-up email?" It's not wrong. Nobody's going to correct you. But it lands a little direct. A little too casual for the room. Now try this instead. "Could I send a follow-up email?" Same question. Completely different feeling. Suddenly it sounds polished, professional, like you know exactly what you're doing, even if inside you're a little nervous. One word, that's it. That's the whole difference we're exploring today. And honestly, once this clicks for you, you'll start hearing it everywhere. In movies, in shows, in real conversations. It's one of those things you can't unhear once you know what to listen for. So let's start with can, because honestly, most people already use it correctly. They just don't know why it works the way it does. Can really has two jobs in English. Job number one, ability. Something you're able to do right now in general. Nothing fancy. I can speak 2 languages. She can drive. They can swim really well. Presentability. Simple as that. Job number 2, and this is where people start second-guessing themselves, permission and requests in casual situations. When you're talking to a friend, a sibling, a coworker you're close with, can is completely natural for asking permission. "Can I borrow your charger? Can you help me carry this? Can we talk later?" These are everyday, casual requests. This is how people who know each other well actually talk. Quick, direct, no need to dress it up. And here's the thing to really hold on to. Can isn't rude, not at all, but it is direct. It doesn't carry that extra layer of softness, and depending on the situation, that layer matters a lot. Now, could. This is where things actually get interesting. Job number 1 is easy. Past ability. Could is just the past version of can when you're talking about something you were able to do before. When I was a kid, I could climb any tree in the neighborhood. She could speak German fluently before she stopped practicing. We could hear the music from 3 streets away. Simple swap. Can becomes could. We move to the past. Nothing tricky there. But job number 2, this is the one that changes everything. Polite requests and suggestions in the present. This has nothing to do with the past. When you say, "Could you help me?" instead of "Can you help me?" you're not talking about ability at all. You're softening your request, making it more respectful, more polished. Listen to the difference out loud. "Can you send me the file?" Direct, casual, totally fine between people who already know each other. Could you send me the file? Softer. Safer. Works in almost any situation, with a stranger, a client, your boss, someone you just met. And job number 3, polite possibility. We use could when something might happen, but we're not fully sure. It could rain later. This could be a great opportunity. He could be home right now. I'm honestly not sure. Notice, this isn't about ability, and it isn't about requests. It's about maybe. Now let's talk about something people almost never mention when they teach this: could in offers and suggestions. This is a whole extra layer, and once you learn it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. When you want to offer something politely, could works beautifully. Could I get you something to drink? Could I take your coat? This isn't a request for permission for yourself. It's you offering something to someone else, softly. And for suggestions, could is almost the default among native speakers. We could try that new restaurant this weekend. You could talk to your manager about it. Maybe we could leave a little earlier next time. Notice something interesting here. None of these are commands. None of them are certain. They're gentle, open suggestions, leaving room for the other person to say no without any awkwardness. That's actually the emotional function of could. It protects both people in the conversation. It gives the listener an easy way out, and it makes the speaker sound thoughtful instead of pushy. Okay, one more layer, and this one's a little more advanced, but stick with me because it's incredibly useful. Could have. This is for talking about a possibility in the past that never actually happened. Listen carefully, because this is a completely different feeling from everything else we've covered. I could have gone to the party, but I decided to stay home. Notice, this means I had the option. I was able to, but I chose not to. The action never happened. She could have told me the truth, but she didn't. Same pattern. The possibility existed in the past. It just didn't turn into reality. This structure is amazing for talking about regrets, missed chances, or just explaining a decision you made. We could have taken a taxi, but we decided to walk instead. No judgment, no drama, just an honest explanation of a choice. A lot of learners avoid this structure completely because it feels complicated and end up using much longer, clunkier sentences instead. But once it clicks, it actually makes your English sound more natural, not less, because this is exactly how native speakers explain their choices in everyday conversation. Let's put the core ideas side by side, because hearing them back to back is how this really sticks. Present ability. I can run 5 kilometers. I'm able to do this right now. Past ability. When I was younger, I could run 10. I was able to, back then. Casual request. Can you pass the salt? Fine with friends, family, casual settings. Polite request. Could you pass the salt, please? Safer pretty much anywhere. Certainty. I can help you tomorrow. I'm confirming it. Possibility. I could help you tomorrow if my schedule allows it. Not confirmed. Leaves the door open. Offer. Could I get you anything? Warm, welcoming, gives the other person space to say no. Suggestion. We could go somewhere else if you'd prefer. Same energy, soft, open, never pushy. Unrealized past option. I could have called you, but I didn't want to bother you. A choice that existed and didn't happen. And here's the rule that will save you in almost any awkward moment. When you're not sure which one to use could. It's almost always the safer, more polite choice. You will never sound rude using could. Worst case with can, you might sound a little too casual for the room. Could doesn't have that risk. Now, here's something I find genuinely interesting. These mix-ups aren't specific to one language. Learners from completely different backgrounds run into the exact same traps. Mistake 1. Overusing can in formal writing, like emails. This happens across the board. Spanish speakers, Portuguese speakers, French speakers, Mandarin speakers, because in a lot of languages, the polite version of a request isn't marked by swapping a whole word the way English does it. So people default to can even in professional emails. Wrong-ish. Can you send me the report by Friday? Better. Could you send me the report by Friday? Mistake 2. Confusing could with would. This one's huge, especially for German and Arabic speakers, where the grammar for hypotheticals works differently. Could is about ability, possibility, or politeness. Would is more about hypotheticals or past habits. That's actually a whole separate episode. But just remember, they are not interchangeable, even though they can feel similar. Mistake 3. Using I could to mean I want to. This trips up a lot of learners, no matter the first language. I could go to the party doesn't mean you want to go. It means you're able to if you choose. If you want to express desire, that's different. I would like to go, or just simply, I want to go. And mistake 4, this one surprises people, using could when you actually mean something is guaranteed. I could finish this by Friday sounds like a possibility, not a promise. If you're making a real commitment, English speakers expect something more direct. I will finish this by Friday, or I can finish this by Friday, with real confidence behind it. Save could for when there's genuine uncertainty. None of these are embarrassing mistakes, by the way. They're just predictable. Almost every learner passes through this exact same stage. You're not doing anything wrong by being here. Let's make this real with a couple of everyday scenes. First, you're emailing your boss. Can you approve my vacation request? Understandable? Sure. But depending on your relationship, it might land as a little too casual. Could you approve my vacation request when you have a moment? Respectful. Professional. This is the safer choice, honestly, anywhere in the English-speaking world. Doesn't matter if it's the US, the UK, Australia, Canada. Now flip the scene. You're texting a close friend, asking for a favor. Can you pick me up from the airport? Completely natural. This is exactly how close friends talk to each other. Using could here isn't wrong, but it might actually feel a little too formal, a little too distant for that relationship. Second scenario. You're traveling, and you stop a stranger on the street to ask for directions. Listen to these two versions. Can you tell me how to get to the train station? Versus, could you tell me how to get to the train station? With a total stranger, could is almost always going to feel more natural and more respectful, because you have zero relationship history with this person. There's no closeness to justify the directness of can. This is actually one of the clearest real-world tests. The less you know someone, the more could tends to fit. One more, third scenario, and this one's fun. You're at a restaurant, and you want to order. Can I get the pasta? You'll hear this constantly, in the US especially. It's become the standard casual way to order food, even though technically it's a request. Nobody thinks twice about it. But if you're at a more upscale restaurant or speaking with a very formal server, could I get the pasta, please? Instantly adds a touch more polish. Neither is wrong. It's really about reading the room, something you'll get a feel for the more real English you listen to. Let's actually listen to a tiny conversation so you can hear both words working together naturally. Imagine two coworkers planning a project. Hey, could you send me the notes from yesterday's meeting? Sure. Can I send them tomorrow morning instead? I'm about to head out. Yeah, that works. Oh, and could we also schedule a quick call this week? Definitely. I could do Thursday afternoon if that works for you. Notice how naturally both words move in and out of that exchange. Could for the more considerate requests, can for the quick, casual confirmation. That's not a script. That's just how real conversations actually flow. So here's the rule of thumb. The more formal or unfamiliar the relationship, lean toward could. The more casual and close the relationship, can works just fine. Before we wrap up, here's a quick fun fact. The way people lean on can versus could does shift a little, depending on where you are in the English-speaking world. In the UK, you'll hear could used even more often in daily casual speech than in the US. British English tends to favor that extra layer of politeness, even between close friends. In the US, can is used a bit more freely, even in situations that might call for could elsewhere. In Australia, people often soften things even further with extra words around it, like, you could maybe just... Neither approach is wrong, it's just a cultural flavor. As you listen to more real English from different countries, you'll start noticing these little patterns yourself. All right, let's do a tiny practice moment together. I'm going to give you a situation, and I want you to think, just in your head or out loud if you're brave, which one you'd use, can or could. Situation 1. You're asking your best friend to lend you $5. Situation 2. You're asking your new boss for feedback on a project. Situation 3. You're asking a flight attendant for a glass of water. Situation 4. You're telling a friend about a trip you didn't end up taking last year. If you picked can for the first one, could for the second and third, and could have for the last one, you've got it. That's exactly the instinct we're building today. Before we wrap up, let's do something a little different. A question I get asked a lot, even though this is our very first episode together. So let's say, it's the question I imagine you might be thinking right now. Sophia, what if I just use could for everything? Is that safe? Honestly, almost always yes. For requests and politeness, could is your safety net. But here's the one place it gets a little strange. Ability. If you say I could speak English instead of I can speak English, you're accidentally implying something happened in the past, or that it's just a possibility, not a fact about you right now. If English is something you're actually able to do today, can is the honest, confident choice. Don't undersell yourself with could when you mean can. So, quick rule inside the rule. For real, present tense ability, especially about yourself, can is your word. For everything softer, more polite, more uncertain, could has your back. Here's something I want you to try this week if you're up for it. Every time you're about to ask someone for something, a coworker, a friend, a stranger, doesn't matter, pause for half a second and consciously choose can or could. Ask yourself, how well do I know this person, and how much softness does this moment need? You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to start noticing the choice. That awareness alone is what turns this from a grammar rule you memorized into something that actually lives in your everyday English. Quick recap before we wrap up. Can, presentability, casual requests, casual permission. Could, past ability, polite requests, polite possibility, gentle offers, and soft suggestions. Could have, a possibility in the past that never actually happened. And the golden rule, when you're not sure, could is almost always your safest bet. That's it for today. If this helped you finally get can and could straight, do me a favor. Hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode and drop a comment. Which one did you use to mix up? Remember, you don't need perfect English. You just need to keep speaking. I'll see you in the next episode.